The sky over eastern Russia had no stars that night, only thick clouds, and the faint glow of distant fires burning somewhere beyond the horizon. Snow fell in slow, heavy sheets, swallowing sound, light, and distance itself. The world felt erased, like nature itself wanted to hide what was happening beneath it. Deep inside this frozen wasteland, an American recon unit moved silently through enemy territory. Their boots pressed into fresh snow, leaving marks that would not last long in the storm. At the front was Captain Emma Carter, U.S. Army, 28 years old. She didn't look like someone who had survived 3 deployments. But her eyes told a different story. Focused, calm, always calculating. Emma raised her fist. The unit stopped instantly. No words were needed. They trusted her instincts more than any satellite feed. Behind her, Sergeant Blake leaned in. "Captain, we're 5 clicks from the target zone," he whispered. "Drone feed is unstable. Comms are still glitching." Emma didn't respond immediately. Instead, she studied the forest ahead. Too quiet. Too perfect. Every mission she had ever been on taught her one thing. Silence in enemy territory is never peace, it's preparation. She lowered her voice. Adjust formation, spread out, no exposed movement. The team shifted instantly. Ahead of them stood an abandoned Soviet-era radar station. Rusted metal towers, collapsed concrete walls, and frozen debris stretching into darkness. Intel said it was abandoned. Intel also said it was lightly guarded. Emma didn't believe either. She crouched behind a snow-covered boulder and activated her thermal scope. What she saw made her breath stop for half a second. Heat signatures. Not a few. Not a patrol. Dozens. "Blake," she said slowly, not taking her eyes off the scope. "Yeah, Captain. We've got company." Blake moved closer and looked through her device. His face tightened instantly. "That's impossible," Intel said. "Intel was wrong," Emma cut in. She zoomed further. More movement. Structured positions. Perimeter defense. Snipers on elevation points. This wasn't a patrol zone. It was a kill box. Emma slowly lowered the scope. "This is not a reconnaissance site," she said. "It's a trap." A cold wind passed through the trees, shaking snow from the branches. And then, a faint electronic sound. Beep. Emma froze. Her radio blinked. Once. Twice. Then, silence. Blake tapped his headset. "Comms are down." Another soldier whispered, "Satellite feed just cut." Emma's expression changed instantly. "Everyone down," she ordered sharply. But it was too late. A distant flare shot into the sky. Bright red. Then another. Then another. The forest lit up like a warning signal to hell itself. And then, the first gunshot. It didn't echo. It cracked through the air like thunder. A soldier near the rear dropped instantly into the snow. "Ambush!" someone screamed. The forest exploded. Gunfire came from all directions, hidden positions, elevated cliffs, tree lines. It wasn't random shooting. It was controlled. Precise. Coordinated. Emma grabbed Blake and pulled him behind a fallen log as bullets shredded the snow around them. "Stay low," she shouted. More shots. More explosions. The ground shook as a grenade detonated near the left flank, throwing ice and debris into the air. The unit scattered instantly. Emma's mind went into survival mode. Fast, clean, logical. "They knew we were coming," Blake yelled, panic breaking through his voice. Emma didn't look at him. "I know." She peeked over the log for half a second. "Bad mistake." Bullets slammed into the wood inches from her face. She ducked back instantly. "This wasn't a patrol," she said. "This was planned. They've been waiting." Another explosion rocked the right side of the forest. A soldier screamed. Then silence. Emma clenched her jaw. They were losing people fast. Too fast. She activated her handheld scanner. Dead. No GPS. No drone support. No extraction signal. They were completely cut off. "Captain," Blake said urgently, "we need to fall back to the extraction zone." "There is no extraction zone," Emma replied. That hit harder than any bullet. Blake stared at her. "What do you mean?" Emma finally looked at him. Her expression was cold, controlled. "We walked into a closed system." A heavy silence fell between them. Then another sound joined the chaos. A mechanical hum. Low. Steady. Getting closer. Emma's eyes snapped upward. Drone. Black military surveillance unit. It hovered between the trees, scanning the battlefield. If it locked on them, their location would be broadcast instantly. Emma slowly reached into her vest. EMP pulse device. Only one. She looked at Blake. "This is our only chance to disappear." Blake swallowed hard. "Do it." The drone turned slightly. Scanning. Locking. Emma's finger tightened. And then she activated it. A sharp electromagnetic pulse shot upward through the forest. The drone flickered. Once. Twice. Then dropped silently into the snow like a dead insect. Blake exhaled sharply. But Emma didn't relax. Because now she saw something worse. Footprints. Fresh. Closing in from the north ridge. Not random soldiers. Tracked movement. Special forces. "They're tightening the perimeter," she said quietly. Blake's voice cracked slightly. "So what do we do now?" Emma stared into the dark forest. Snow fell heavier. Gunfire still echoed in the distance. And somewhere beyond the trees, something was waiting. She tightened her grip on her rifle. "We don't survive this by fighting harder," she said. A pause. "We survive by becoming invisible." She stood slowly. Then looked at Blake. "Move now." And together, they disappeared into the frozen darkness. Just as the forest behind them lit up with another wave of gunfire. The hunt had officially begun. The forest didn't feel like a place anymore. It felt like a system. A closed, controlled breathing system designed to trap anything inside it and slowly erase it. Emma Carter moved fast through the snow, each step quiet but deliberate. Behind her, Sergeant Blake struggled to keep pace, his breathing heavier now, his instincts fighting panic. Gunfire still echoed somewhere deeper in the trees. But it wasn't random anymore. It was tracking them. Emma suddenly raised her fist again. They froze instantly. No words. Only silence and snow falling like ash from the sky. She slowly lowered herself behind a ridge of ice-covered rock and scanned the forest through her scope. What she saw tightened her chest. Movement. Not scattered. Not chaotic. Structured. Soldiers were forming a wide arc around the forest floor, moving in coordinated patterns like they were closing a net. "They're not chasing us," Blake whispered. "They're hurting us." Emma didn't respond immediately. Her eyes tracked every movement, every angle, every shadow. Then she spoke quietly. "They know exactly where we are going." Blake looked confused. "How? We've been off-grid since the ambush." Emma's expression hardened. "That's the problem." She slowly pulled out a compact tactical map, partially damaged, screen flickering. A red zone was expanding in real time. Not randomly, but predictively. Emma's eyes narrowed. This isn't just a unit operation, she said. This is command-level coordination. A cold realization hit Blake. You mean they have live tracking on us? Emma didn't answer directly. Instead, she looked at the sky. The drone was gone, but something else had replaced it. Invisible surveillance, ground-based tracking systems, infrared sensors hidden beneath the snow. This entire battlefield was wired like a cage, and they had walked straight into it. Suddenly, a sharp snap echoed from the left tree line. Emma reacted instantly. DOWN. Both of them dropped as a bullet ripped through the air, where Blake's head had been seconds ago. Snow exploded behind them. A sniper shot. Emma rolled behind cover, her mind already calculating angles. Sniper at elevation, Blake shouted. Emma didn't hesitate. She scanned the tree line. Found it. A faint shimmer in the branches, optic reflection. One shot. Long distance. High precision. She pulled a smoke grenade and tossed it forward. A thick gray cloud burst into the air, swallowing the forest in seconds. Move, she ordered. They sprinted. Branches whipped their faces. Snow stung their eyes, but Emma didn't slow down. Every second mattered. Behind them, another shot cracked through the smoke. Close. Too close. Blake stumbled slightly. Emma grabbed his vest and pulled him forward. Don't stop, she snapped. But something was wrong. Too coordinated. Too fast. Every time they changed direction, the enemy adjusted instantly. Emma stopped suddenly again. Blake nearly collided with her. What now? He whispered urgently. Emma crouched low, pressing her palm into the snow. She studied it carefully. Then her eyes narrowed. Footprints. Blake frowned. We're leaving footprints anyway. No, she interrupted. She pointed slightly ahead. There were multiple layers of footprints. Some old, some fresh, some overlapping in patterns that didn't match their movement. Emma's voice dropped. They're not just tracking us. She looked up slowly. They've been rotating units through this forest. Blake's face went pale. You mean we're not the first team? Emma nodded once. And that was the worst part. They weren't dealing with a reaction force. They were dealing with a prepared battlefield system that had already consumed others before them. A sudden burst of radio static cracked through Emma's broken comm unit. Blake froze. Did you hear that? Emma immediately raised the device. Static again. Then a voice. Distorted, weak, barely human. Do not trust extraction. Blake stepped back. What the hell was that? Emma's jaw tightened. The voice cut out. Then silence again. But now the message had changed everything. Extraction was no longer guaranteed. Or worse, it might not even exist. A low mechanical hum returned. Emma looked up sharply. Another drone. But this one was different. Heavier. Military-grade surveillance with thermal lock systems. It hovered above the tree line, scanning in slow circles. If it locked onto them, there would be no escape. Emma reached into her vest again. Only one EMP left. Blake noticed immediately. That's our last one, he said. Emma nodded. And if we don't use it right, we die anyway. The drone shifted slightly. Its sensors aligned downward. Locking phase beginning. Emma's grip tightened. 3 seconds. 2. Blake whispered, do it. 1. She activated it. A pulse of electromagnetic energy burst upward into the sky. The drone flickered violently, but instead of dropping instantly, it stabilized. Emma's eyes widened slightly. It adapted. The drone corrected itself. Now it had partial lock recovery. This was no ordinary system. It was advanced counter-EMP design. Blake grabbed Emma's arm. "We're out of options." Emma's mind raced. Then she made a decision. "Not out of options," she said. She looked toward the deeper forest. Dark, dense, unknown. "The system controls the surface," she said quietly, "so we go where the system can't see." Blake frowned. "And where is that?" Emma stood slowly and pointed downward. "Underground." A beat of silence. Blake's eyes widened. "That radar station." "Yes," Emma interrupted. "The one they told us was abandoned." Another explosion echoed far behind them. The forest was closing in again. Emma tightened her grip on her rifle. "We move now," she said firmly. No hesitation, no stopping. Blake nodded. And together, they ran deeper into the frozen battlefield, toward the buried truth waiting beneath the snow. And somewhere above them, the drone recalibrated its search pattern. Hunting again, but now more precise than before. Because the trap had just learned something new. They weren't trying to escape the forest anymore. They were trying to enter it. The deeper they moved into the forest, the quieter everything became. Not peaceful quiet. Artificial quiet. Like the world above had been muted on purpose. Emma Carter slowed her pace as she approached a slope covered in thick ice and buried debris. Her instincts told her they were close. Very close. Behind her, Sergeant Blake's breathing was uneven now. Fatigue was setting in, but fear was stronger than exhaustion. "We're almost there," Emma whispered. Blake looked around nervously. "Almost where? This whole place is a death trap." Emma didn't answer immediately. She crouched near the frozen ground and brushed away layers of snow with her gloved hand. Underneath, concrete. Old, reinforced, hidden. A structure buried under decades of ice and secrecy. Emma's eyes narrowed. "This is it." Blake frowned. "That radar station." Emma nodded. But something was wrong. No exterior entrance. No visible door. Just solid frozen ground. Then Emma noticed something else. A faint seam in the concrete. Perfectly aligned. Not natural. Engineered. She tapped it twice. "Hollow." "There's a hidden access point," she said. Blake looked around anxiously. "And how do we open it without a key?" Emma stood slowly, then pulled a compact, breaching charge from her gear. "We don't wait for keys," she said. "We force truth open." Before Blake could respond, a distant mechanical hum echoed through the trees. Both of them froze. Emma looked up instantly. The drone was back. But this time, there were two, then three. Expanding search grid. Closing in. Vast. Emma worked quickly, placing the charge along the seam. Blake crouched beside her. "If that blast goes off, they'll pinpoint us instantly." Emma didn't look at him. "They already have." She pressed the detonator. A sharp explosion ripped through the frozen ground. Ice shattered. Concrete cracked. A hidden steel hatch beneath the snow groaned open, with a heavy mechanical scream. A dark passage was revealed. A staircase leading downward. Cold air rose from below like breath from something alive. Emma didn't hesitate. "Move," she ordered. They descended quickly into the darkness. Above them, the drones locked onto the explosion site. But by then, Emma and Blake were already gone. Below the surface, The staircase stretched deeper than expected. Metal steps, rusted walls, old Soviet engineering layered with newer modifications. This wasn't just a radar station. It had been upgraded, reused, expanded. Emma turned on a small tactical light. The beam revealed corridor markings, warning signs in Russian, restricted access zones, and something worse. Fresh footprints. Not old. Not abandoned. Recent. Blake stopped walking. "This place is active," he whispered. Emma nodded slowly. "Yes." They moved forward carefully. Every step echoed too loudly in the narrow corridor. Then they reached a sealed door. Biometric lock. Modern system. Not Soviet. Emma scanned it. Her expression tightened. "This isn't military Russian infrastructure," she said. Blake frowned. "Then what is it?" Before Emma could answer, a soft click echoed from the hallway behind them. Both turned instantly. Nothing. But the silence had changed. Now it felt watched. Emma raised her rifle slightly. "Someone's here," she said quietly. Blake whispered, "Enemy." Emma hesitated. Then, "No," she said. "Worse." Suddenly, a voice came through the corridor speakers. Calm. Controlled. English. "Captain Carter." Emma froze instantly. Blake looked at her. "They know your name." The voice continued. "You were never meant to reach this facility." Emma stepped closer to the speaker system. "Who are you?" she demanded. A pause. Then, "You already know." The lights flickered once, then stabilized, and the door in front of them slowly unlocked. Emma raised her rifle instantly. "Don't move," she told Blake. The door slid open. Inside, a control room. Monitors, maps, live satellite feeds, and a single figure standing in the center, wearing no uniform. Just a black tactical coat, face partially shadowed. Emma's eyes narrowed. "This is Russian command," Blake whispered. Emma didn't answer, because she was staring at something far more dangerous. The man spoke calmly. "Welcome to the real battlefield." Emma stepped forward slightly. "You set the ambush." The man nodded. "Yes." Blake raised his weapon slightly. Emma stopped him with a hand gesture. The man continued. "This entire forest is not a battlefield." He paused. "It is a testing ground." Emma's expression hardened. "For what?" The man looked directly at her. "For soldiers like you." Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Then Emma said coldly, "You're not military." The man smiled faintly. "No." A pause. "I work for something much older than military." Blake whispered, "Captain, this doesn't make sense." But Emma's mind was already connecting pieces. Drone coordination. Adaptive tracking. Rotating strike teams. Underground control systems. This wasn't a war zone. It was a controlled simulation environment. And they had been the live subjects. The man stepped closer. "You performed well, Captain Carter." Emma's grip tightened on her rifle. "Why are we alive?" The man tilted his head slightly. "Because you were not meant to be eliminated." A pause. "You were meant to be studied." Blake took a step back. "We're not test subjects." The man didn't react. "Every soldier in that forest before you said the same thing." Emma's eyes narrowed sharply. "Before us." The man nodded. "Yes." He tapped a console. A screen lit up behind him. Dozens of mission logs, different units, different nations, all entering the same forest. None returning. Emma felt something cold settle in her chest. This wasn't just their mission. It was part of a pattern, a cycle, a system that never ended. The man turned back to her. "But you, Captain Carter, you adapted." Emma didn't respond. The man continued. "An adaptation is valuable." Blake whispered urgently, "Captain, we need to get out of here." But Emma wasn't listening anymore. She was watching the exits. 3 visible. 1 concealed. All locked. The man noticed her gaze. "You won't escape easily." Emma finally spoke. "Then you underestimate me." The man smiled slightly. "No." A pause. "I selected you because I don't." Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flooded the control room. The man turned slightly toward a console, then calmly said, "They've already detected your breach." Emma raised her rifle. "Who?" The man looked back at her. "The forest." A beat. Then, the entire facility shook. Something massive was moving above them. Emma realized instantly. Above ground, the system had shifted into full response mode. And now, they were no longer escaping a trap. They were inside its core. The entire underground facility shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Warning lights flashed red across the control room like a heartbeat going into panic. Emma Carter didn't move. Her eyes were locked on the man in the black coat. Because now she understood. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a closed system that had just switched from observation mode to elimination mode. The man glanced at the console, completely calm. "They've activated surface purge protocols," he said. Blake stepped back. "Surface purge, what does that mean?" Emma answered without looking at him. "It means they're erasing everything above us." A deep mechanical roar echoed from above the facility. Not explosions. Not gunfire. Something heavier. Systematic. Controlled destruction. The man turned slightly toward Emma. "You still have a chance to survive this," he said. Emma raised her rifle instantly. "I don't take survival offers from people who built cages." The man didn't react to her weapon. Instead, he pressed a button on the console. A section of the wall behind him slid open. An escape corridor. Emma narrowed her eyes. "Why give us a way out?" The man met her gaze. "Because you're not finished." Blake whispered urgently, "Captain, this is a trap." Emma didn't disagree. She just asked one question. "What happens if I refuse?" The man paused, then answered simply, "Then you become part of the system permanently." A loud explosion shook the ceiling above. More debris fell. Time was running out. Emma made a decision in half a second. She turned to Blake. "Stay behind me." Then she looked at the man one last time. "You built a system to study soldiers," she said coldly. A beat. "Now you're going to learn what happens when one fights back." And she moved. The escape corridor. They ran through the narrow passage as alarms screamed behind them. Metal walls, flickering lights, emergency sirens echoing like sirens of a sinking ship. Blake struggled to keep up. "Captain, this whole place is collapsing." Emma didn't slow down. "It's not collapsing," she corrected. "It's resetting." Behind them, automated security doors slammed shut one after another. The system was sealing them in. Or trapping something else out. Or in. Emma didn't care anymore. Only forward. They reached a junction. 3 paths. Blake pointed left. That one leads up. Emma cut him off. No. She pointed to the right. The exit isn't up, it's lateral. Blake frowned. That doesn't make sense. Emma looked at him sharply. Nothing about this place does. They took the right corridor. As they ran, the walls began to change. Old Soviet metal gave way to newer reinforced alloys. Then glass panels. Then observation windows. Emma slowed for half a second and saw it. Inside the rooms. Soldiers. Dozens. Not Russian. Not American. Different uniforms. Different countries. All unconscious. All connected to monitoring equipment. Blake saw them too. "What is this place?" he whispered. Emma's voice dropped. "It's not a battlefield." A pause. "It's a collection site." Suddenly, a loud mechanical lock engaged behind them. The corridor sealed. Emma spun around instantly. Too late. A reinforced door slammed shut. They were locked in. And the system voice returned. Calm, controlled. Final containment initiated. Emma stepped back slightly. Blake looked at her. "This is it." Emma didn't answer, because she was already analyzing the structure. Weak point. Pressure system. Emergency override. Then she saw it. A maintenance hatch near the floor. Barely visible. She fired once. The panel shattered. Cold air rushed in from beneath. Blake stared. "That leads where?" Emma crouched. "Outside." Blake hesitated. "Outside where? We're underground." Emma grabbed his vest. "Do you want to argue, or do you want to live?" Another explosion shook the corridor. The ceiling cracked. Time was gone. Emma dropped into the hatch first. Blake followed immediately after. Beneath the facility, they fell into a narrow drainage tunnel system. Dark, freezing, filled with rushing water and metal pipes. Above them, the facility groaned as it began to collapse section by section. Emma pushed forward through the freezing current. Blake was struggling now. "Captain, I can't." "Keep moving," she ordered. Her voice didn't change. "Even now. Even here." They followed the tunnel until faint light appeared ahead. A grate. Emma reached it and looked up. Snow. Real snow. The surface. But something was wrong. The forest above looked different. Burned. Disrupted. Silent. Emma pushed the grate. Locked. She pulled out her final breaching charge. Blake grabbed her arm. "If we go up, they'll see us instantly." Emma looked at him. "They already know we're alive." She placed the charge. Exploded. The grate burst open. Cold air slammed into them. They climbed out into the freezing surface. But the battlefield had changed. No soldiers. No drones. No gunfire. Only silence. Emma stood slowly, scanning the forest. Blake whispered, "Where is everyone?" Emma didn't answer immediately. Then she saw it. Tracks. Not movement. Withdrawal patterns. Everything was pulling back. Like the system had shut itself down. Or been interrupted. A voice crackled suddenly from Emma's damaged comm device. "Weak. Distorted. Carter, do you copy?" Emma froze. Blake looked at her. "That's American comms." The voice continued. "Mission compromised. Extraction window open." Emma narrowed her eyes. "Extraction wasn't real before," she said quietly. The voice repeated. "Repeat, extraction window is real." Silence. Emma looked at Blake, then toward the forest edge. Something had changed. The system was gone, or hiding, or resetting. But one truth remained. They were still alive, and someone had just opened a door out. Emma started walking. Blake followed. "Captain, where are we going?" Emma didn't stop. "Out." A pause. "And then we find out who opened that window." They disappeared into the snow-covered forest once again. But this time, the forest was no longer hunting them. It was waiting.